So I'm in this slide. I'm going to cover the outcomes and like the cultural impact um, after these riots. So, like I said before, um, a lot of the groups that had previously existed, like a lot of the gay rights groups that had previously existed, um, they kind of dissolved and made way for more radical gay rights groups like the Gay Liberation Front and the Gay Activist Alliance. Um, what ended up happening a year after the events at Stonewall was the first gay pride parade was held in New York on the same street where the Stonewall bar was located, and this was to set off the first Gay Pride Week, and it just marked the 1 year anniversary of the Stonewall events. So what ended up happening was other large cities in the U.S. followed like this example and held their own pride events the same year, like in Los Angeles and San Francisco. So that is what set off what we now have. Like we have Gay Pride Month and we have Pride parades and things like that, even all throughout the year, not just in June. So that's a definite resounding cultural impact because Gay Pride is a very, very like global thing now. Like when people have like gay pride parades and things like that, it's very impactful, very moving, very powerful. If you've never been to one, I suggest that you go. Um, and yeah, so that was one of the really big cultural impacts of that. Another impact was that activist movements, like these gay activist movements in the United States, would eventually impact and inspire like similar movements around the world in other countries like Canada, Britain, France, Germany, Australia, and many others. Um, I'm not going to bore you and list them all right here. But yeah, so like I said before, there were already movements in place before the Stonewall riots happened, but because the activists at the time took advantage of that momentum and that like the momentum that they had and the media attention that they had when it eventually got national attention and global attention, is they basically took advantage of that, and they made the moment memorable by commensurating it and then having, making a 1 year anniversary event and things like that. So it really took off in the public sphere, and it really forced people to kind of analyze and really um, dig deep into why they subscribed to such bigotry when it came to gay people in this country, because a lot of them, or a lot of like activists at the time, some of them subscribed really to respectability politics, and tried to show that they were like model citizens regardless of their homosexuality or like their gender identity or whatever. But a lot of the more radical groups made it a point to fight against that label, like that homosexuality was a mental illness, and basically saying that the society needed to change how it like regarded gay people, and gay people didn't have to change for society. Society had to change for them, basically. So that was a lot more of a radical take than we had seen really on a global or like national scale, because many of the other movements were really revolving around kind of that respectability, like, oh, you see, we dress like, we dress like this, we dress professional, we're employable, we're just like you, we're neighborly and stuff like that, like trying to appease to the oppressor kind of. Um, and so these movements and like these activists after that kind of realized that for them that's not how they wanted to advocate for themselves, and they knew like nothing was wrong with them, so they never wanted to create a movement or like a campaign that made it seem as if their gender identity or their sexuality was like a hindrance or something that would like set them back as a person, if that makes sense. So yeah, so basically it was just a more radical, like a more radical national push to like for acceptance and equal rights and things of that nature, which we can still see is going on today in a lot of ways, because homeless, like trans youth and gay youth have really high rates of homelessness and abuse and things like that. So there's still work to be done, but there's definitely a lot of progress that has been made so far. So that's pretty much like the cultural impact outcome of the riots.